Hello, hello. Tonight, because I'm doing it a little bit later tonight, but tonight we're going to talk about how to be courageously authentic in your author life. So, all this week we've been talking about safe spaces. So, Monday we talked about safe spaces and what that actually means. On Tuesday, we talked about how to find your writing voice, and a lot of that has to do with authenticity and vulnerability that we're talking about today and we talked about yesterday. Wednesday, we talked about consent in marketing and how that is so important, how that plays out for me in the way I do my marketing, in the way I strive to do my marketing as I'm working and improving and getting better at it. And yesterday we talked about vulnerability. So today we're going to talk about authenticity. And all of this plays in together. All of this has to do with a lot of the same thing. And what that is us showing up as our truest, most authentic self, as our best self. Whether and that looks different for every single person. So a lot of times we look on, if we're on Instagram or on another social media platform, and we really don't know what to do, and that's okay because no one really knows what to do when they're first starting out, especially. And a lot of times we still don't know, even if we've been there a while. We're looking at other people and the types of content they're posting and the way they say things and how what they share and all of that. And it can be tempting to try to duplicate their results by duplicating their content and duplicating the things that they say and the things they share and the way in which they share those things. However, that works for them because that's who they are. We have to focus on what works for us because it's who we are. And a lot of that comes down, and why I said courageously authentic is a lot of it comes down to courage to be honest with yourself about the things that maybe you don't want to admit about yourself, or the things, and this is kind of where vulnerability comes in, like we talked about yesterday. And if you haven't watched that, I'd encourage you to go back and watch that. It's on all the channels, wherever you're watching it, wherever you're watching this now. Just check out yesterday's video. But a lot of that has to do with vulnerability because it actually makes us vulnerable in a way because we are sharing a part of ourselves. And a lot of times, being authentic means that we're going to be sharing parts of ourselves that there may be people who do not resonate with it. And there may be people that wrongly will call you out for certain things. And that's part of it. But that's where the courage comes in, that's where the bravery comes in. On the flip side, the reason that I encourage you to be courageously authentic is because if you are not authentic, you are going to put up a barrier between you and your followers or your potential readers or anyone that's trying to get to know you. And a lot of times, if you hide from yourself, you're putting a barrier between you and yourself and your truest self. And I know because this is something that I struggle with, have struggled with, still struggle with. It's something that I'm working on. But showing up as your authentic self can mean a whole lot of different things. So we're going to just go through a few of those really quickly and then we'll wrap up. So there can be showing up as yourself, could be sharing a story about how, like a personal story about how you got into writing. Or it could be sharing a story about how you came up with the idea for a book or why you write the types of books you do. I did this as a reel. I talked about the reasons I write romance. And so there were a lot of different reasons, and some of them got into some personal things that I was a little nervous about sharing. But I'm glad I did because it resonated with people. And that's kind of what that payoff is because it resonates when you are being truthful and authentic and genuine and you actually have some vulnerability. It allows people to see that you're a human just like they are, and they'll be able to connect with you even if they don't share the same story, but they can sympathize even if they can't empathize. And a lot of times they will empathize and you'll make a new friend and make a new connection that way. So it could also be writing the types of stories that you would have never dreamed of writing, or maybe that you are a little worried about writing. And there are ways, like, I'm not saying that you don't have to protect yourself. Sometimes there is a good reason to maybe use a pen name or, not show your face in social media. I'm not necessarily talking about that because sometimes that is the best decision for a person. And you have to decide what authenticity and vulnerability means to you. I am by no means saying you have to share everything about yourself. And if you watch the vulnerability video from yesterday, I talked about that. Like, could be oversharing. So we don't want to do that. But it is important to share pieces of yourself as much as possible. And even if you are writing under a pseudonym, even if you are not showing your face on social media because you are, using a pen name and you don't want people to connect who you are as a person, maybe it interferes with your career, and that's fine. But do try to make connection in ways that are authentic, that maybe still doesn't give away everything you don't want to give away, right? So you could be sharing something, maybe you write in a genre that could be tricky to navigate in your personal life and you write under pseudonym, totally fine. But make a connection by sharing stories that this is why you write this type of fiction. This is, and you don't have to name names, anything of that, but you can still be authentic and share your story. And that's a lot of what authenticity is about. It's just about sharing your story. That's what fosters connection between people. And your followers, your readers will connect with those stories because they see that you are sharing something that's true to your heart, that is close to you, that allows them a glimpse into who you are. Now, one little caveat before we go. I fully realize at this point that I am speaking to myself. And a lot of these times when I give talks like this and share lives, I do realize that I am talking to myself. There is always work to be done. There is always improvements to be made. There are always ways to be more authentic, be more open and vulnerable without oversharing, of course. There are always ways to be courageous and to tap into that innate courage that we all have, tap into who our truest selves are. And it's a constant journey, it's a constant exploration. So I would encourage you, start on that journey or continue on the journey wherever you are. Continue to find pieces of yourself, continue to grow and reach for those things that feel authentic to you. And it can change over time. Something can feel authentic to you and change in the future, and that's fine. That's part of the process. But allowing yourself to be open to those things that will ultimately connect with your readers and your followers more because you are coming from a genuine, authentic place. All right, well, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching this series. We are going to talk more about all kinds of things in the author life next week. I plan on continuing these daily lives, but this week we were talking about kind of safe spaces and that kind of stuff. So if there's anything you would ever want to hear me talk about on one of these, I would encourage you to let me know in a comment or DM me, reach out somehow. I would love to, I really want to help. I want to give you something that will help you in your author journey. So if you have an idea, I'd love to chat about it on a future live. And if not, we're just going to talk about all things author life, and hopefully these things will connect with you and help you learn more and grow in your author life. So, all right, that's all I have for tonight. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll be back next week. Bye.